YouTuber house in Minecraft. Featured in her house will be rooms based on all her different videos, like One Block, Built Aphmau, her mob morph and prank videos, and more. And make sure you stick around till the end. Things get kind of crazy. Obviously, we can't forget the big YouTube sign. On the first floor, we have a kitchen, a living room, and some bedrooms. And then if you go up the stairs, we have some more bedrooms. And we're starting with the Aphmau bee room. I want this room to basically be a room inside of a bee. It might be a little tricky, but if I get the patterns right, I might be able to pull it off. Okay, what are we thinking? It's definitely giving bee. And these even look like the eyes of a bee. Wait, this is the perfect finishing touch. Ah, it's so good. Okay, so I think I want to put the bed in the very middle of the room and use these striped gold blocks for the bed frame. And since bees have stripes, I think this is perfect. Now, I really don't want to oversaturate the yellows, so we'll go ahead and add some brown. You know, to match the bees' behind. I was about to do the rug, but then I realized, what if I did a honeycomb block? I mean, who doesn't love waking up in the morning and stepping right into some sticky honeycomb? Doesn't that sound so fun? On either side of the bed, I'll do some bedside cabinets with a little bit of brown carpet in front of them. What kind of bee stuff do I have? Okay, I actually have so many bee things. Like this bee statue, an angry bee statue, a beehive, a bee lamp. This couldn't be any better! I was kind of torn between which bee lamp to use, but this one is actually a real lamp you can buy IRL. And I've come so close to buying one. Maybe I should so I can match Aphmau's bee room. I think right above her bed, I want to put a picture of Aphmau in a bee costume. And then right above that, a couple bee lamps. And I love the honeycomb trapdoors. Now, since there's a lot of bees that live in this room, I really want to put a couple bees' nests. So I'll hang them in the corner of the room like that. And you can't have bees' nests without a couple bees. I want to place the bees in such a way that it looks like they're flying out of the nest. They're like, oh, gotta go collect some more honey now. Meanwhile, these guys are just out getting back to the nest. Now, obviously the bees need a little area to pollinate, so I'm gonna go ahead and make a grassy area right in this corner, where I'll plant tons of flowers and some grass to give it that overgrown look. And now for the icing on top of the bee cake, we'll go ahead and add some more flowers hanging. And now over here on this side, I want to put a counter where the bees can drop off their honey they make. And that way it color matches, I want to turn it brown and yellow. Bees and honey can make all kinds of products, like a honey bottle, a honey cake, with a cute little honeycomb decoration, some honey pots, even some honeycomb cereal. And the bees are more than happy to make it. And now I'll scatter a couple beehives everywhere. One of my favorite Aphmau bee videos is when she turns into a little bitty baby bee, which is exactly where we're going next. The baby room. Aphmau's always either a baby or being adopted by a family as a baby. I think it's so stinking adorable. I want this room to act as one giant nursery, so I'm gonna make the floors pink and then the walls dotted purple. Now I kinda want the window panes to match the mobile on the crib, which are pink, green, yellow, and blue. And I want to start by putting a crib in front of each of the windows. You know, that way they have a really good view. And we're gonna pretend there's a lot of babies, so I'll go ahead and put 2 more cribs. And now I'll go ahead and add some carpet underneath. Now if the baby climbs out of the crib, it isn't gonna fall into the hard floor. The carpet will keep it safe. Now if you have a baby brother or sister, you know that they can get messy. So we're gonna make a little changing station. We can pretend this is the basket where you throw dirty diapers. This is where you change the baby, and this is where you change out the sheets for the crib. Oh, and we can't forget some extra storage for extra diapers. And right above the extra storage, I want to put a couple teddy bears. And I'll go ahead and put some baby bottles right here. And over here on the wall, I'm gonna add baby pictures of Aphmau and her friends. Obviously, the babies need some toys to play with, so I'll go ahead and make them a play corner with plenty of toys so they never get bored. One of Aphmau's funniest baby videos is where she's a baby hacker in Minecraft. I personally picture a booster seat at a hacker desk with like 3 monitors and some baby blocks. It's very much giving Boss Baby. I also can't forget all of the baby animals she has in her videos, like a baby cat, a baby creeper, a baby Ghast, and a baby Enderman. Right above the desk, I want to put this chandelier to kind of fill in a little space. And I think I want to stick to the same colors as the room. And honestly, with all the space I have left, I might as well go fit 1 more crib. That way, all of her friends can have one. We have Aphmau, KC, Kim, Zane, Ian, and Aaron. I think they've all definitely been babies at some point or another. What else have they probably been? Elementals. Aphmau and her friends have all been different elements at one point or another. So I want this room to be a super sick split color floor plan to represent the main 4 elements: earth, fire, ice, and water. Okay, fine, maybe they're not the original 4 elements, but I didn't know how to build air. And to start off our decorating, we'll hang pictures of all of the elemental Aphmaus. Water, earth, ice, and fire. Now I'll go ahead and place all the beds down. For the earth side, I really wanted to have like a grown-up feel, so I'm gonna put grass all around the bed. But I also want there to be a little bit of color, so I'm gonna do some sunflowers too. And sprinkle in some dandelions. And in this empty space, I wanna add some hanging plant holders with some rope to be different sizes. And I also wanna use bone meal to grow them so they'll be super long. Now, since Earth Aphmau is definitely giving Tiger Lion Queen, I'm gonna add some ocelot plushies. And for a special treat, I'm gonna add a real-life ocelot. Hopefully he'll stay on his side of the room. Now for the snow side of the room, I'm actually gonna use these framed cubes instead of real snow blocks because soon there's gonna be fire over here and that's definitely gonna melt the snow. I wanna build some kind of little snow mountain over here. And then I wanna add a ton of snowballs. And I wanna put some of the snow down, but I know it's gonna melt, so I'm just gonna use some of this white carpet. And I also made these really cute snowflake fairy lights, so I think I'll hang them here. And since this is the ice section of the room, I'm gonna add some polar bears. And once again, as a special treat, a real-life polar bear. Let's just hope I don't accidentally hit him and make him mad. My toes are about to go from frozen off to no longer on my body because they burnt off. That's right, we're decorating the fire side of the room. And what better place to start than with some magma? My main inspo for the fire side of the room is definitely gonna be the nether, specifically a crimson forest. That way I can use crimson roots, weeping vines, and a ton of lava. Obviously, we have to include this cutie pie strider. And since we do have a big hole of lava in our room, a real-life strider. Oh, I guess polar bears do like water. I don't know how I pulled it off, but somehow you're not gonna be drowning when you're sleeping in the water side of the room. Now let's go ahead and decorate it a little bit. We'll start with some kelp, some sea pickles to light it up a bit. And I really want to use some of this cool blue coral. I also found the cutest little lily pads. I think I'll put one here, here, and maybe right over here. I do want to add these fishy fairy lights and then a couple tropical fish swimming around. And we obviously can't have water without real tropical fish also. I think I would get the absolute best sleep in this room. Unlike our next room, which we won't be sleeping any in. First things first, let's destroy these light blocks. As much as I wanted to, I couldn't leave out a scary room in Aphmau's house. She does all kinds of scary videos, like Alternate, Siren Head, the Ram, and other creepy scary monsters. I am such a scaredy cat, so this is gonna be quite the challenge to do. Okay, I don't know about you, but destroying all of the light blocks has already spooked me out. And if that spooked you out, then this is really gonna be scary. I'm gonna go ahead and close these windows because we wanna make sure there's as little light as possible. Now I'm gonna add some picture frames, put pictures of scary Aphmau on them, and then cover them back up with windows. Okay, this is so scary. I don't know if I can finish the room, but I have to. I'm gonna just try not to look her in the eyes. I'll go ahead and put the bed right here with a gray bedspread. And I'll go ahead and make the bed frame out of brick because that's not scary. There's nothing like being snuggled by a little bit of brick at night. Ah, they're still there. Okay, now I'll go ahead and do some carpet and pretend like I'm not super scared of this room. And now I'll go ahead and add some bedside tables and some skeletons because why not? It's already a scary room. What? You don't think it's scary enough? Well, honestly, I kind of have to agree with you. Probably because there aren't enough cobwebs everywhere. Those make things really scary. And not just any cobweb. We need like a healthy variety of them. Ooh, some chains would look so good. It would add to the creepy feel for sure. Ooh, and maybe some redstone dust on the floor. Ooh, and what if I made like a cool graveyard area? One here, and some shovels. That's not creepy at all. Ooh, and hanging from the cobwebs, I could put some spiders. Okay, yeah, that is definitely super creepy. And as if it wasn't creepy enough, we'll add more scary pictures on the walls. Okay, that's a really scary movie. You know what scares me even more than this room? The fact that you're not subscribed. Hurry! Hit the subscribe button and get me out of here. Thanks, I needed a breather from that room. And what better place to get some air than the one block room? Aphmau does so many fun one block videos with her friends. It's always so funny because they try to squeeze so many people onto one block and they all end up dying, like all the time. It reminds me of the one block videos I do with my friend Crafty. We're always trying to push each other off. And I obviously can't forget the one block itself. Okay, now I want to put the sun in this little corner over here. And I think for the clouds, I want to use these little frame slabs. That way they're not too thick on the ceiling. It's a very cloudy day on the one block. And now that we've set our scene, I want to put the bed right here, but I don't want to have it directly on the floor. Everything in the 1-block room needs to be in the air. So I'll go ahead and build this little platform out and put my bed on it. Obviously, Aphmau's bed needs to be purple, and her little bedside cabinets too, which I'll also go ahead and put a platform under. And then right over here on this wall, I think I'm gonna put a floating bookshelf. Now, on some of Aphmau's 1-block videos, she has angels only and demons only. So I'll go ahead and put some things on the wall to represent that. She also does a ton of water 1-block. So I'm gonna put a little pond in the corner to represent that. And of course, add a couple tropical fish. Now, since everything is kind of hanging out in the air, the floor is looking really naked. So let's go ahead and add some grass to spice things up. Right over here on this wall, I want to put one of my fave pictures from one of her 1-block videos. Oh, it's her and Aaron on a 1-block. I think on top of her bedside dressers, I want to put little wolves. You know, to represent her Ultimate Wolf 1-block series. In one of her 1-block videos, she also goes to space. So I'm going to put this astronaut helmet in the corner. There's so many more 1-block videos that she makes, like Fox, Ice, Skeleton, Bumblebee, TNT, Princess, and even Lava. I don't think I have enough room to put all of them in here. And to finish off the 1-block room, I think I'll put a wolf on the 1-block. But now we're about to tackle a room where the wolf might not be so lucky, because he's gonna be fighting a vampire! Aphmau does a ton of werewolf and vampire videos. So instead of giving them their own separate room, I figured why not combine them and let the chaos ensue? You know, because they're like super enemies. On this side, we have Aphmau, the ultimate werewolf. And then on this side, we have Aphmau the vampire. Ultimately, who will win this fight? You know, I think it's a great idea to put two mortal enemies' beds right next to each other. Because how could that possibly go wrong? For the ultimate Aphmau werewolf, I'll do a gray bed frame with the framed mod. And for vampire Aphmau, I'll do a red bed frame with the same mod. And I'll go ahead and add some carpet for both sides. So I'm pretty sure most vampires double as coffin salespeople. So in this corner, I'm gonna make a little area where Aphmau keeps all her spare coffins. And we're gonna label it the Coffin Collection. Oops, sorry mister. Seems like that one's already a little occupied. However, it does look a little too clean over here, so I'm gonna go ahead and add some cobwebs everywhere. And you can't have cobwebs without really spooky ooky spiders. Okay, that's definitely giving Coffin Collection. And they also offer burial services. Something else that vampires are super into are bats. I'm pretty sure they're like distant cousins or something like that. So I'll go ahead and add a bunch of bats right above her bed. Think of it as like a big bat chandelier. I'll also add these bat fairy lights right above her window, and then maybe two more right above her bed. Now, since we unfortunately don't really have room for side tables, we're gonna have to make do. That way I can put some bat plushies on them. And right over here in this empty space, I want to put a family portrait of Aphmau's vampire family. Aaron looks like he was born to be a vampire because he's already red. And now the final touch to really separate this room is gonna be red floor. Moving right along to the werewolf side, let's go ahead and start it off with some wolf plushies. And I think I'll go ahead and add some ears for the werewolves. Now it says long fox ears, but what it really means is fluffy werewolf ears. They just typoed, I don't know. Now, a big thing about werewolves is they're like super into the moon. You know, because when it gets full, they transform to werewolves. Kind of like Enid from Wednesday. And since they're so into the moon, I went ahead and made moon fairy lights. That way they can wake up in the morning and start howling automatically. Now, one of the unfortunate realities about being a werewolf is sometimes you transform against your will. But we don't have to worry, because this werewolf has taken extra precautions to make sure everyone around her is safe. And we do want to make sure there's plenty of sustenance in here. So I'll go ahead and add a food and water bowl. And for extra decoration, some chains. Because sometimes you have to chain yourself up so you don't break out of the cage. And now to busy the wall up a little bit, we'll add some more full moons. Yeah, you're right. It's more of like a quarter moon. And now in this empty space, I'm gonna add a family picture of Aphmau and her werewolf family. Aw, they even have a dog. And now the ultimate showdown between vampires and werewolves. All right, good luck! Things might get crazy in there. And honestly, they're not gonna get too much better in here. Aphmau is always playing pranks on her friends. Sometimes it's with TNT, other times she transforms into mobs, and sometimes she even goes invisible and spies on them. I want this room to be kind of like a starter base house because that's where all the best pranks take place. And I went ahead and made the entire floor out of TNT blocks because I've seen Aphmau do something similar to that. But now I have to try to decorate this room without setting them off. Am I pranking myself? I think I want to go ahead and put the bed right over here and give it a yellow bedspread. That's for my friend Kai. And then my next prank is gonna be the headboard and bed frame. I'm gonna make it magma. That way when you go to get in the bed, your toes get burnt. But because I'm not a total monster, and because this contrast is killing me, I'm gonna go ahead and do a neutral rug underneath the bed. Usually every time Aphmau transforms into a mob to prank her friends, it's a fox. So I'm gonna decorate with a couple foxes. And just in case you guys didn't believe me, there we have Aphmau dressed up as a fox pranking her friends, using her most dangerous weapon, a flint and steel. Probably to light all this TNT. But I'm not gonna accidentally do it. No way! Now I'm gonna set up another one of my favorite pranks, when you get a bunch of gray glass and inventory bomb someone. So now they're gonna go to open their chest and be like, oh, where's all my stuff? Now since this is supposed to be like a starter house, I'll go ahead and decorate like it. Now before the beautiful world of furniture mods existed, in order to decorate your house in Minecraft, you had to get really creative. Like using slabs for counters, barrels for cabinets, lanterns for chandeliers, and even a cauldron with a tripwire hook for a sink. At least carpet was always an option. Another funny way to prank your friends is to place magma blocks down right underneath carpet so that when they walk in, their feet catch on fire. Another super annoying prank is when your friend builds a nether portal in your base somewhere and you can't find it, so it's just sitting there being so loud. Ooh, and another fun starter home decorating trick is using a lever as a doorknob. Oh my god! And done! Okay, I guess I was the one who ended up ultimately being pranked because I had to build that room twice. And honestly, that's made me anything but happy. So I really need this happy Ghast room. Aphmau does so many different Ghast videos. Ghast 1 block, baby Ghast, Ghast family, adopted by Ghast, and the list literally goes on. And after that prank room fiasco, I could really use some of the Ghast cuteness and happiness right about now. Well, that's only when we're talking about the happy Ghast, not the kind that try to like murder you in the nether. So for this room, I think I want to start by putting a bed right in the middle. With a white bedspread, of course. With a rippled white bed frame. I also want to use these white bedside cabinets with a little Ghast on top. Now I really want to put some glowstone in the corner because there's tons of glowstone in the nether, which is where the Ghast lives. Unfortunately. I want to put a little vanity right here for the Ghast with a little white stool. For some reason, I like to think that the Ghast sits at the vanity and cries a bunch of Ghast tears. I mean, I don't know his life. I don't know why he's so sad. Maybe he doesn't want to be stuck in the nether all by himself. Maybe that's why in the new update, there's dried Ghast you can get from the nether and bring them to the overworld. Don't worry, little buddy. You won't be sad for long. Right above the bed, I want to put a giant picture of Aphmau as a Ghast. And her little Ghast baby. And right over here, I'll put pictures of both of their moods. Chill and not so chill. And now there's only one thing left to do. Summon in a giant Ghast, of course. How do you like your room, buddy? Okay, maybe it's a little small. Hopefully this next room will have plenty of space for all the mobs that are gonna go in here. Aphmau does tons of videos where she and her friends morph into different mobs. Skeletons, creeper, enderman, even an ender dragon. She gets adopted by mobs, she's a baby mob, she does mob 1 block, she basically does it all. And now my job is to squeeze 4 mobs into 1 room. Wish me luck. For green, we're gonna have a creeper. For black, we'll have an enderman. White, we have a skeleton. And the magenta, we have the ender dragon, which we'll get to her in a minute. First, we're gonna start with the creeper, which I'm gonna give a green bed to, and I'm gonna turn his bed frame green. Now with a different shade of green, I'm gonna give him a bedspread. To finish off his bedroom set, a bedside table, with the creeper on top, of course. And right above her bed, a picture of Aphmau the creeper. Aphmau is so cute as basically every mob, but she's particularly adorable as a creeper. And to finish off the creeper side of the room, a green chandelier. Now for Mr. Enderman, I'm gonna go ahead and give a black bed with a magenta bedspread to match his eyes. But I wanna make sure I'm not doing too much color, so I'm gonna do a variation of blacks for the bed frame. And then of course a black rug underneath. And I'll finish it off with a black bedside table to hold another enderman. And once again, right above her bed, a picture of Aphmau the enderman. And to add just a little bit more fullness, I'm gonna do a chandelier. And now for the skeleton, we'll do a white bed with a white bedspread. And alternating white-gray polka dots. Wait, this really looks like bones. Speaking of bones, we're gonna use bones for the carpet. And since I don't exactly have room for a bedside table, I'm gonna do a couple bone shelves. That way I can put plenty little skeletons. And right above Mr. Skeleton's bed, we have Skeleton Aphmau. Yeah, I changed my mind about the lanterns. They were a little busy. And finally, the Ender Dragon. And I think I'll put your bed right here. And turn it black to match your coat. And now to make your bed frame match your eyes. And I think I'll also have the carpet match your eyes too. Luckily, I do have room for a bedside table. Unluckily, I don't exactly think you fit. It kind of cuts off like her whole body. And now right above her bed, Aphmau is an ender dragon. Man, Aphmau sure is friends with a lot of mobs. And people too. Aphmau has a lot of friends that she really super loves. She's been friends with them for a super long time. Her friends are Zane, Ian, Casey, Kim, and Aaron. Though I think Aaron is her husband. But you can still be friends with your husband. And since Aphmau's the primary character of her videos still, I'm gonna leave the room purple. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the TV. That way I can start adding sofas. The gray one can represent Zane, and then the pink can represent KC. I'm gonna put them next to each other because I think they like each other. And now I'll go ahead and do a pink and a gray carpet. Oh my gosh, it literally looks like yin and yang. That's so cute. Casey reminds me of like the sweet little kitty cat. And then Zane reminds me of the black cat. And I think I'll also create an entertainment center that's both gray and pink. And we can't forget the cabinets. I was looking for a good pic of Casey and Zane combined, but what I found was actually a little more disturbing than I thought. I mean, it's literally Casey and Zane combined. I guess it'll work for our space. I'll go ahead and put Ian right over here under the stairs, which he's kind of more of a loner anyways, so I think this works perfectly. Let's definitely make a little bit more of this area blue, and I'll put some blue sheep around to represent him. And I found this really funny picture of him. His face is killing me. And now I'll go ahead and put Kim right over here. And I'll put some cool science pods right beside her sofa, because Kim is definitely giving scientist. And her skin is kind of a mix between cyan and green, so I definitely want to make sure I represent that. And here I'll put a picture of sweet Kim. And now let's turn on all the TVs. Now, since Aaron and Aphmau are married, I figured I'd give them their very own living room with their very own TV and sofas. I'll do a red and purple checker carpet, and now a red and purple ottoman, and decorating my walls, I'm gonna put a couple of my fave pics of them up. Okay, now this place is like screaming Aphmau and Aaron. Aphmau is literally next level iconic. You guys should tag her in this video so she can see it. And as soon as you tag her, subscribe so you can see more videos like this.